Mixtape Queens. Third Eye Love.
What's up, family? Welcome to another fire episode of the Mixtape Queens Podcast, where we bring you the hottest and most talented voices in the industry.
Yes. Today's artist is the one and only D'rok The Menace, the enigmatic psychedelic advocate, artist extraordinaire, and master of sound manipulation. Let's get it. How you doing, King?
I'm well. How you doing?
We're doing wonderful. I'm so excited. I can't believe you actually agreed to do our podcast.
yeah, man. I'm honored.
Yes.
That's what's up.
That's how we feel.
Have you done any podcasts already?
Yeah, I've done a few.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
All right, sweet. Well, the next one we want to do in person for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm down. Y'all like on the East Coast, huh?
No, we're in Arkansas.
Yeah, but we travel
Okay.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, let me know. I'm down. I'm down for sure.
Yes. Super excited. And I remember the first time I ever heard you, I think it was from Aura the Prophet. You did a feature with him and it was called Growth Hurts.
Yeah.
And then I heard another song that's called Crystal Merkaba. And I was like, oh, y'all are amazing. I mean, I listen to it all the time, like every day almost.
Yep.
I mean, literally. Like I can't
That
even.
Merkaba.
Yeah, I can't help it. That's my stuff.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I work with Aura all the time, pretty close. I mix like most of all of his records for him. And, yeah,
Wow.
that's a good
Oh,
deal.
wow.
Yeah, I thought I had seen that you were a mix engineer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope.
13
So-
years.
10 years. How long have you?
13.
13?
That's the same
Oh
as
my
me.
God. Yeah.
Well, not mixing, but I've done graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
what's up.
I've been in the game for a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like a newbie. I'm new. I'm fresh.
Yeah.
But like your creativity is so crazy to me. Like I listen to some of your flows and I'm like, how the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
And what made you come up with that? And then
Very, very unorthodox to say the least. And I be feeling like when I listen back to a lot of my music, I be feeling the same way. I'm like, I don't know or I know where it came from. Most of my music, all my music is pure channel, like pure channel. When I lock in and I really like when I make albums or any of my songs, it's just like straight channeled source, channeled angels, channeled divinity. You feel me? Because like a lot of it, when I listen back to it, I'm like, if I sat here right now and just tried to make that, like I don't know that it would happen. You feel me? My inspiration is like really, really divine.
right.
It is.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
It's tapped into that intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That's why like a lot of times, like I'm not one of them artists that like, nigga, I go in the studio and 10 seconds later, nigga, I got 100 songs. It might that could happen if I'm in that zone, but most of the time, like it really takes me some time to craft a song. Like it take me nigga 2 weeks sometimes to really complete a song. You feel me? So to be where I feel like it needs to be at, or for me to just continue to receive that inspiration. You feel me? Or that chance. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Hell, I mean, we've got 3 albums worth of music that we wrote.
It was
worked
2
on,
years.
and we are still not done.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. At the same time, we're real hard on ourselves, and you feel like you want it to be a certain way, or you want it to hit people a certain way.
Yeah.
So then sometimes niggas will start like just sitting on music because you feel like it's not right, or it's not how you want it to be, or it's not the right time. And what I've learned, man, is when you get to a certain point of completion that you feel like, all right, it's a little done, or it could be done, rock with that. Because niggas sitting on that music, there's people or yourself that could be missing out on a blessing or some sort of healing or some sort of something, because you're sitting on something, wait for it to be perfect. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct.
And I hear this very often because we work with a lot of artists. They say that song, my favorite song or their biggest song was one that they weren't even going to put out, that they didn't even like. And that's kind of crazy.
that or some that like you wasn't even worried about. Like some of my biggest songs is some shit that I just like, I'm just drop this shit and I'm not even like, I don't even really like this song like that. You feel me? That's the one that everybody's like, this the one right here.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it really makes me think because, you know, I'm tired of sleeping on myself and, you know, that's just a wake up for all of us to go and get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for being here with us today. We're really excited to be here with you and, you know, hear more about your story.
Yes.
Yeah. We want to know, you know, where you come from, what you've been through and where you're headed. So go ahead and tell us.
Yeah.
So where I'm from Los Angeles, well, the greater Los Angeles area. I'm like 30 minutes outside of LA, from the Valley, small place called Pacoima, where, well, when people think of the Valley, they think of like Valley girls. They think it's like all white. The part of the Valley I come from, very dangerous. So yeah, I come from like a lot of gang culture, drug culture, and where I'm headed is shit up past the stratosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no ceilings, there's no limits. But yeah, I come from a very rough background, a very pessimistic background. So a lot of these ideologies that are considered quote unquote spiritual or just being open-minded. Well, I've always been a very open-minded, but you know, being optimistic about life and where I'm headed is definitely it's some new tools for me, you know what I'm saying? And I really have to be grounded and settle in that because it doesn't come natural to me. I can say that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel you, King. I relate to that a lot. So let's take it back a little bit. Tell us, you know, we know you've been through some struggles. Now, lead us to the day that, or not the day, I'm sure it was a period of time, right, where you started to awaken. Tell us about that.
Okay. So that was back in like 2011, 2012-ish, right? When I feel like it started happening for a lot of people.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
2012.
You know, that was like the end of the world, or you know, all that, right? I had a studio downtown LA in the Jury District, and so I had a lot of different people coming through there. A lot of people that's like well known now, rappers and shit like that. And at the same time, I was hustling big time, selling dope, right? And my life, I was making money. I was doing a lot of hood rat shit with my friends, you feel me? But my life just, life wasn't good. It wasn't comfortable. I was spending out a lot of money. Man, I'm a two-time felon. You feel me? So I was spending out a lot of money to the court. I was spending out a lot of money just to survive, right? And something had to give. I'm like, shit not right. Something got to change. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of being like this. All the homies going to prison and homies dying left and right. Something got to change. And on top of that, my studio was haunted, or the building that I was in was haunted. Like we could be here for hours. I could be telling y'all stories that you probably be like, nah, nigga, that didn't happen. But the shit was haunted like crazy. And so all of that was just like really affecting me. I'm like, this has something to do with how my life is proceeding, right? And ultimately, I came to the conclusion that me selling dope and just the way I was living my lifestyle was having a major effect karmically on my life. And wasn't nothing gonna be right until I stopped that shit. So I stopped that cold turkey, and it affected my finances majorly. So when I stopped that, right, and my studio was haunted, I told my mom and I told my parents. And what she did, her solution was she called a bunch of elders at her church, and they came up to my studio and they anointed it. They rubbed oils all over the place, rubbed oil on me. They prayed in the studio, and they was all like, "You need to come back to church." And I'm like, "That's not it. that's not. I don't know what I need, but that's not it right there, right?" And the shit was still haunted. Like them niggas rub oil, shit was still happening. So at the time I had a homie. He was my like one of my producers, one of my main producers. And he used to always watch Ancient Aliens. He was real big into that show, Ancient Aliens.
Mhm.
I could give a fuck about that shit. Like, I'm like, I don't care about that show. He was always trying to get me to watch it. I'm like, nah. So one night we was in the studio and he was watching Ancient Aliens. And for whatever reason, I sat down and I started watching that shit too, right? And in the show, the episode I was watching, they was talking a lot about meditation and psychedelics. And they was just, but the way they were talking about it, they were talking about like niggas levitating, or how the ancients used to use these technologies to ascend to higher states and go to other dimensions and talk about entities. And I'm like, I'm into that type of shit, like sci-fi, like everything. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you could do that by meditating and with psychedelics. I'm like, all right, that's what's up. So after everybody left the studio that night, I went on YouTube and I found a guided meditation, because in the show they was talking about doing guided meditations. And I found a guided meditation on YouTube and I did it. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I experienced church. I experienced what everybody else was in church feeling, the spirit. I caught the spirit that night. You feel me? And I really felt it. I felt whole. Like I felt good. I felt like it was beautiful, right? And I'm like, okay. So I kept doing guided meditations for a while. And then I wanted to like meditate with other people. So I found a guided meditation group. It's funny. When I found the group, I found it on Meetup, and I went to the group and I opened the door. It was in like this office building. There were several different businesses in the building. I opened the door and it was full of like older white people. Like everybody in there, other people were at least, I don't know, like 70 and up, right? Open the door and they all looked at me. And like immediately they was like, "Oh, you must be looking for some space down the hall." I'm like, nah, it look like y'all. I'm like, y'all meditating in here? They're like, yeah. I'm like, nah, this where I'm supposed to be, right here. And the lady that guy, she was like, okay, well, go ahead. And they had dog beds, like little dog beds. That's a meditation hack. If you want to be real comfortable while you're meditating, go to the store, get you a little dog bed. You fit in there perfectly. Anyways, so I brought somebody with me too, right? I brought the homie with me. And so we sat there through the guided meditation. And by the end of the meditation, I look over and the homie was crying. The homie was crying. I'm like, what the fuck? And I knew at that point, I'm like, yeah, this is church. This is my way. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm gonna proceed through life. And so you good one? Chill. I got my dog in here with me. So fast forward a little bit, I guess I was just meditating. Meditation saved my life before psychedelics or anything. Because if I didn't find meditation, I'd either be in prison right now with some of the homies that's still in prison, or I'd be under the dirt, or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd just still be out here causing ruckus and ruining people's lives. You feel me? So along with meditation, you know, when you first get into your journey, spiritual journey, or your path, whatever, it's you're bombarded with meditation, with kundalini, with crystal this, crystal that. It's all these different things that's coming at you. And one of the major things that's coming at you, niggas talking about psychedelics, right? And so for me, and I feel like a lot of other people are melanated individuals, when you hear psychedelics, you like, nigga, that's for white people. Like niggas don't do that, right? Like you hear about it. I heard about it growing up, but like you're not fucking with that shit. Like you're not doing that. But since I was heavy into just like drug culture throughout my life, when psychedelics was brought up and the way was brought up and what it could do for you, how it could help you transition or ascend. Because my whole point when I came into this, I'm like, man, well, I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm trying to ascend and become the most ascended being and eventually just like disappear. I want to become so tapped in and so ascended that nigga, I'm not even here no more, right? You just disappear. That's what a lot of people, I feel like, goes in when they first come into it. And then psychedelics was presented to me like, you do psychedelics, then it can help speed up the process or aid and whatever. And also, you know, dimension traveling. I'm like, I'm all for that. Sign me up. Fuck it. I guess I'm doing psychedelics now, nigga. That's just another drug. I was doing drugs anyway, right? That was my thought process at the time. And so I broke into psychedelics. I was doing mushrooms by myself for a long time, high dosing. I lost a lot of friends. A lot of the homies in the hood was like, blood is weird. We can't fuck with this nigga. People was calling my mom, telling her I was going crazy off psychedelics. I was doing wild stuff, right? And it brought me to a point to where I had my first DMT experience. And when I had my first DMT experience, that's when I first traveled to another dimension. I was literally not here anymore, right? And I met 7 entities, all of which guided me through this experience. They took me through like the 7 main, I feel like, chakra colors, through the 7 main levels of the chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the biggest thing that I took from that, what they told me, it was like, everything that you're studying, the books you're reading, all these lectures you're watching, all the information that you're just picking up and the realizations that you're coming to from doing psychedelics, you got to start including that in your music. Because my music at the time was just all about drugs, gang banging, you feel me? It's like, you got to start including that in your music so that people that come from your walk of life, niggas that look like you, that's out here gang banging, doing whatever, they out here in the streets, you can be a different example. Because you did a whole lot of shit and people know about it. But you can now start putting this knowledge in your music that other people are listening to, and it'll just be, you just plant seeds so that niggas will look at you and be like, man, bro's doing something different and it's working for him. You feel me? It's not just like I'm doing something and like people was thinking I'm just out here going crazy. So that was a real pivotal point for me, my first DMT experience, because the entities that I met, they said they were the knowledge monsters. So I came back, I formed my company, Knowledge Monster Order. I changed. I didn't intend on making psychedelic hip hop. Like I didn't come back like, okay, I'm gonna be the most spiritual guy ever. I'm gonna rap about psychedelics and yada yada. That wasn't it. I was just putting little zingers here and there. But like once I feel like I turned the faucet on, I couldn't turn it off, and my music has just transitioned and blossomed into what it is now. All because of pure intention for me to really want to reach people like me, people that's out here feel like they lost in the sauce, niggas that don't know that there's more to life.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's facts. You know what? It's a lot of people out here that say they want to be these great leaders such as yourself and just they want to guide people, but a lot of them don't know how to because they don't even know what that guidance is. They've never sat down and tapped into anything greater than what's materialistic that can be given. Yeah. You know, instead of receiving the energy from the universe for your life, you know, for your energy, because energy is the real money. That's the currency. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to use it the right way, you're never going to be able to hone in on those skills and craft it the way that you want to. Yeah. And I just love your story. I really appreciate that. I think it's cool that you stepped out of the box and said, you know what? I'm not doing that. That's not for me anymore. Yeah. This doesn't even speak to my spirit. That's not what I want. That's not at my core. And a lot of people don't know what's at their core. They don't even know how to begin to look in. Mm-hmm. And I understand you saying like, Black people do look at psychedelics or any drug outside, anything outside of marijuana is like, oh, that's crack. You know, like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, but they don't though, because niggas be drinking lean. They take all types of shit that white people make for them. You feel me? But then they'll turn around and be like psychedelics that white people actually using, niggas in Silicon Valley, Steve Jobs, all these people that come up with all these great ideas and use it for the betterment of themselves. But they be like, nah, we're not supposed to do that. You go crazy. You trip out. Like you already crazy and tripping out just in your everyday life.
That's facts. That's facts. Right. And it's interesting for me. I'm 36 and I'm from Las Vegas. So I escaped with my life after 21 years in Las Vegas. And, you know, it's not just the hoods, it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And the culture of violence and drugs is saturated into everywhere around the world. So, you know, it's interesting to see that you overcame all of these, you know, things, gang violence, drug culture, and you've come out of it. And you know, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
There's really a lot of people out here suffering, like even if they're not in a gang or, you know, dealing with drugs, they see it on TV or they're addicted to sugar and salt and foods.
Yep.
So yeah, TV, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just the influence of media and food. You feel me? Just
Yeah.
the things that we consume on a daily basis that we think is normal or regular. It's got you majorly fucked up. Yeah.
Right. People are sitting back, oh, I'm good, you know, I'm not in the hood anymore. Or maybe they try to escape, but it's like, well, you're still trapped in a prison in your own mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of struggles out here. Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
Tell us. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It's crazy you say that. Well, it's not crazy. Well, everything's crazy if you think about it.
True.
But it's interesting that you say that, because the first project that I dropped, like after my realization and everything, I have an intro in it, and I was like, shout out to all the homies out there locked up, free them. And shout out to all the homies that's locked up in their mind, free yourself. So yeah.
It's a choice. That's a real choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us more about this journey. You started dabbling with mushrooms, and then so DMT is a very powerful experience from what I've heard. I've never tried it, but you know, you had this awakening, and it's very clear to you to put that in your music and push that forward. And so a lot of your friends started to drop off, and I'm guessing you made new friends, right?
Yeah, I made, so a lot of my friends dropped off, family, all that. And my partner that I've been with for 10 years, 4 children later, I found her like very shortly after I started consuming stuff. I was probably on my own for about like 6 months or so. And then I found her, and we was talking. We were just talking to each other. Like, we didn't meet for like 2 months, like 2 or 3 months, something like that. And the first time I met her, I picked her up to go on a date. And so in my head, I'm like, I can't mess with no girl that's not on my same wave. Like, if you're not into psychedelics, I'm just a wild man, period. You feel me? So like, if you can't get with your boy, then it's not gonna work. So I had in my head that when I picked her up, I had a big ass bag of mushrooms, right? I had planned on doing mushrooms that day regardless. So I'm like, she gonna have to get with it. And I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna ask her or how I'm gonna present it to her. So as soon as she got in the car, the first thing I did, I was like, yo, you fuck with mushrooms? And she looked at me weird as hell. She's like, yeah. That's not a regular question that niggas be asking each other. She's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. Well, we about to do something today. She was like, all right. So we ended up, I had this whole thing planned. We went to Venice Beach to ride bikes, and we rode bikes. We was on mushrooms. And I told her, I'm like, we got to make sure that, you know, when we start getting to that weird part of Venice, that we stop and turn around. But we was enjoying ourselves so much that we ended up way in Santa Monica, and we got off the bikes. We sat in the sand, and that was a very profound experience for me, because like, I never felt instantly about someone the way I felt about her. And I was like, is it the mushrooms, or is this nigga finna be my wife? Like, right? And it turns out she was in her head feeling the same exact way and thinking the same thing. So our first date was consuming mushrooms, and I feel like just our transition through life, through our relationship, through understanding each other, should just, like I said, through my music, has been very, very much influenced, and we have entheogens to thank for that.
Yeah. So
I love that.
So does she also do music?
Now she does. So she didn't or whatever, but just last year, like towards the end of last year, she started doing music. I started getting her in the studio, getting her to hop on the mic, doing some stuff. And just recently, like a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we just released our first song together.
Okay, so you're talking about Hood Bruja.
The Hood Bruja, yep.
Yes,
I think
okay.
we heard some earlier.
Yes, we were listening and we just followed her back on Instagram and we're loving her stuff. So
I was like, who is that? She sounds good.
Yeah, we love her.
Yeah,
we want to get her on the podcast too.
She had 10 years of lessons. She had the best teacher, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. There you go.
We love her, and you please be sure to tell her that we would love to have her on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
I will
For
definitely.
sure.
Yes.
Definitely.
So let's take it back. Y'all were on the beach in Santa Monica, and you created this connection that has blossomed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Now you both make music together. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much the dream life. Like, do you ever feel like this? Like with my wife and our spiritual enlightenment journey, I look around and I see everybody suffering, and I just almost feel guilty. Like, how come I'm so lucky? How come I get to enjoy this? You know? Do you ever feel like that?
No. I don't feel guilty. I feel extremely grateful, and right. I have a lot of gratitude. But at the same time, it took me a long time, like almost, I want to say like until like last year, like early last year, to really get to this point. You know, like it's not a instant thing. It's not an overnight thing. Like when you're dealing with psychedelics and entheogens, I feel like if your intentions are pure and right, eventually, maybe not. It's not everybody's path and everybody's journey is different. But for me, at least, I learned. The way I learned, I'm hard-headed. So I learned the hard way, right? And so it's taken me on, the journey is beautiful, but it's been very difficult at times because I really had to go within myself and really understand myself a lot and really begin to understand how to love myself properly so that I could be the best version of me, first and foremost for myself, but then so I can really be that for her, so that I could treat her right, so that I could speak her love language, so that I can understand, so that I can pay attention to her, you feel me, and do all these things. Because how do I say, just life is not an easy thing. And so I just feel like really just adjusting your perspective, fixing your perspective, and like what I was talking about earlier, intentionally working on being optimistic and not pessimistic about your situation, and really seeing that the glass is half full, you feel me, has really been impactful and tremendous for me, so that I could have this gratitude that I have when I'll be like, damn, man, like my wife is the best. Like I'm the best. Like our life, things that I have in my life is what I asked for. I have everything. I'm living the dream, even though I feel like at times we get caught up in like, well, it doesn't look exactly how like I envisioned it would look, but like, what did you ask for? Really think about the things you asked for, and then look around. Like, you more than likely, you probably got that shit, and you really having the appreciation, the gratitude for it, is only going to bring more abundance and build it bigger, so it is what you look like. It does look like what you thought it would, or better, or it don't look like what you thought it would look like because it's unimaginable. You know what I'm saying?
Right, way better than you could imagine.
Yeah. Never in my life would have thought that I would be able to move out of the city, out of the ghetto, somewhere nice in the middle of nowhere, on my own property in my own house. Never in my life. But I do wake up every day with gratitude. I really do, because I know like this is a blessing. Like when I think about some of the stuff that my family members are still going through, my friends, people that I used to know, I'm like, I pray for those people, but I move on, because that's a conversation between them and the universe, not me and the universe. Right. It's not about me. It's about what they have to do. Yeah, it's not my work.
But like even in that though, right? When we're going through our struggles, I feel like one of the biggest things that I've learned is that the struggle, quote unquote, is beautiful, or just to change your language around things like that, and not say it's a struggle. But even if you are saying it's a struggle, or view it that way, still giving thanks, because when you're in the vibration of not giving thanks, or just like, woe is me, why is this shit happening to me, instead of man, damn, this shit is happening for me. Thank you for this opportunity of whatever shit is going on, so that I can, like a mushroom, grow from this shit and be the most profound thing ever. Like, thank you for this opportunity to grow, instead of being like, oh fuck, nigga, damn, this all bad. Like, really being in that vibration of appreciation, so that you don't get stuck in that situation. You know, you can see a way out. A lot of times we can't see all the way what's going to happen because it's so cloudy. But if you can just have that gratitude and that appreciation, it'll shine the light so you can see a few more steps ahead of you. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We really do. We carry a lot of gratitude in our situation, especially when you come from a life of suffering and, you know, it's suffering all around us. How can you not be grateful for anything? And I started that. Gratitude was my key to my awakening. It wasn't psychedelics. It was gratitude, because I realized how ungrateful I was. And I turned that key and I started becoming grateful, even though I was in a shitty apartment with a shitty life and shitty friends and everything around me was crumbling. I said, you know what, I'm gonna have gratitude and be grateful for this. And that's when everything started to change for me. Yeah, gratitude is amazing. It really is.
Same thing for me. Like when my grandma died, these are the two people that took care of me my entire life. So my grandma died, and then like 2 years later, my mom died. And so it was like, I never had anything like that happen to me. These are the people that have taken care of me my entire life. So I had to do it's almost like a 10-year gap in what my maturity had to jump to and what I feel like I've grown through. Because I grew up way quicker than any of my friends, and none of them understood that. So that was the beginning of my journey. But instead of them passing, making me like hateful and spiteful and wanting to give up, what it did was open my eyes up to who I could be, not just here physically on the planet, but spiritually, what I could do for myself. And understanding, like I have a whole ancestors altar right next to us, because I truly believe that my mother sits at the top because she is the queen. And she birthed me. She brought me to this place, and I get to fulfill these dreams, and she lives through me. All of my ancestors lived through me, and I had to really learn that, like, they use me as a vessel to fulfill their dreams. There are things that they would never be able to even touch that they are allowing me, opening doors for me to be able to have and really enjoy, because that's what's been put in me since before I even came in this, you know, physical manifestation of self. So yeah, I definitely get that. Like man, spirit is something else. And it's a lot of people that will tell you to go to church and get spirit, but spirit comes from within yourself. And that is some powerful stuff.
And psychedelics is not for everybody, right? And as well as like church is not for everybody. So we all have our different path, and somehow I think, you know, we go through all of this, and now we're here, you know, we're living this life of gratitude, kind of living high up on the hill and seeing the majority of everybody else kind of down here struggling. And, you know, it's kind of like, okay, here we are, now what? And I guess it's kind of like this pressure that I've been adapting to, of being the one to carry that torch and carry that light, to take care of myself so that I can help others on that path. So can you tell us a little bit more about your path with, you know, helping others, and how you being able to find your light within yourself has affected your music, and now outwardly a bunch of people who are, you know, flocking to you?
One thing though, before you go on that, because you said psychedelics isn't for everyone. So I do and I don't agree with that, only because the act of consuming something outside of you, I can get with that. But the biggest production of DMT is within the lungs. So like the biggest psychedelic is you, right?
Right.
And most people don't even know how to breathe correctly. But once we figure out how to breathe correctly and we actively engage in conscious breathing all day, every day, you always on a trip. So psychedelic really is for everyone. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of how you go about it or what.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, we do have DMT in our pineal gland, right?
Yeah, it's in our pineal gland, but like I said, the biggest production of it comes from the lungs.
From our
So
lungs.
when you're
That's really
engaged in these different pranayamas or these different breathwork practices, the reason why you can go into transcendental states or leave your body or whatever is because you're activating that DMT within your lungs that processes throughout your whole system, throughout your bloodstream.
Right,
So,
natural.
Yeah.
I never knew that it was in our lungs. The biggest. I thought it was.
Yeah, because I'm not scared of mushrooms or nothing like that, but the DMT, that kind of scares me a little. But I'm cool with breathing, you know, if I could just breathe. And it's like, how simple is that? You know, we all look out at oh, what can I do? Meditation. Well, really just breathe. Like, it's that simple.
I do want to say, I do think that everybody should at least try a little bit of mushroom.
Maybe 99% of people.
Because the way that the mushrooms opened up my everything, just to be more compassionate towards others, to be more enlightened about certain things in life, and nobody has to tell me. These are things that are naturally coming to me. I feel like when people say, oh, they can hear God's voice, well, guess what? I feel it in my entire being because of that experience. It definitely opened up the door.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Me. Yeah, it's the reason why I advocate so heavy for it, especially for people, for lack of better terms, Black people, for their use of it and in our community, because everyone in the world, there's so many people in the world that are so close-minded that just a lot of these concepts that we consider to be spiritual or that we consider to be enlightened or on a higher vibration, a lot of these concepts, a lot of these ways of life, these ways of thinking, most people can't comprehend, or they don't want to, or they just extremely reject, or they can't even begin to envision how that is even a thing, or how that will help, or how that's good, right? And the thing about mushrooms or entheogen psychedelics is that it's like a tool that can break down that barrier. It breaks down that wall so that you're more receptive. You're more open to receiving these different concepts and these different things that are being thrown at you. And you're not just like, nah, nigga, you crazy, or that's not it. You feel me? So that's why I can kind of agree with you that, like, I feel like everyone should maybe try it, but at the same time, there's a lot of individuals that I feel like aren't mentally sound, and therapy, which I used to reject and be like, nah, I don't need therapy, or people are like, I don't want to talk to nobody. Therapy can be very helpful just for get you grounded and in the right place mentally, so that you can, then take a psychedelic journey. Because like she said, it's not for everybody. Everybody mental ain't there. It can actually do more damage or more harm for you if you're not ready for that experience. You know what I'm saying? But I believe your question that you had asked me was just how am I helping people? Rephrase it again.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Like, how have you turned this experience of you going inward and finding yourself and shining your light? How is that affecting your fans and your listeners?
I say it's affecting them in the most positive way, period. Like, I'm always getting people sending me messages telling me how it's great for them during psychedelic trips. And I say there's no such thing as a bad trip, but there are very difficult experiences, right? That in which most of us need, or all of us need, so that we can get to that next evolutionary step of ourselves or whatever it is that we're trying to achieve spiritually. But it's just a matter of you surrendering to the experience in the moment. And when you don't surrender, that's when things start to go south, or what we say is bad, right? Because we're not surrendering to whatever's trying to come up. But what I can say is that my music and sound in general helps you when you're in those states. And a lot of people tell me, man, when I'm going through it, or I'm feeling lost, I don't know what to do in my psychedelic trip, pop on that D'rok. You're speaking like, yes. You're speaking right to me, to whatever experience I'm having. And even you ain't got to be tripping, just in life, period. Because I feel like the way I make music, I call it's psychedelic hip hop, but it's life music. Like, everything that I'm speaking, like, yeah, it's a channel, but it's only coming about because of a direct experience that I've had, or more than likely that I'm having in the moment. And you, whoever listening, just so happens to be able to relate to that. Like, you're having the same experience or a similar experience. So I'm always speaking to myself first and foremost. I'm talking to me with my music. Like love yourself. You feel anything I'm saying? I'm talking to me, and they're affirmations, right? And so with that, it's gonna help you. It's gonna help you love yourself, man. It's gonna help you get right. I feel like my vulnerability, the fact that I'm just me and I'm gonna be me at all times, and I'm not scared to show me, is a huge inspiration, because a lot of people, they don't know how to be themselves. They're always worried about what somebody might think, being judged, or you're really judging yourself most of the time. You feel me? And just being able to just be raw and just be me and be unfiltered, and let you know that, yeah, love and light, but also blood, what's happening, man? We get active at the same time. Like, I really exhibit that duality. So it makes my listeners, or if you're not a listener, you're gonna be a listener, because it just makes you comfortable, just knowing that I'm authentic. You feel me? And I feel like that reverberates a lot.
Yes,
for sure.
It allows people to, it makes them feel comfortable enough to be themselves, and they want to be more authentic,
Yes.
And I also feel like really just getting to roots of why I am the way I am, be it trauma, or just experiences in life. It might not have been traumatic, just experiences that I have in life, and really going back and sitting with them and meditate on them and understanding why that happened and the effect that it had on me as to why I perceive different ways in my life, or treat people the way I do, or lack thereof, and how I can now assess that and move differently,
Yes,
for sure. I definitely get that, because, man, I struggled through that experience itself with taking the mushroom tea, because that's the way I did it. But what it did was open my eyes up and make me realize that I was just afraid of being happy. That's what it was showing me.
Yep.
It was showing me happiness, and I was fearful of the happiness.
Yeah.
And I had to ask myself while I was going through that trip, like, what's making me afraid to be happy? And it's the fear of it being gone, like the happiness being fleeting. And it's me coming to an understanding that I'm not in search of happiness. I'm in search of joy, because joy is everlasting and happiness is just a feeling that's fleeting.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel that vibe every time that we listen to your music, and other artists, great artists just like you, like Spiritual Tony and Free Soul. Like, y'all are changing people.
Yeah.
Y'all are waking people the fuck up. I mean, like, I've heard some of y'all's music and I'm just like, oh my God, I just can't even believe this isn't a bigger market
Yet.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
happening.
For sure.
Also, I could say, I guess, I feel like my music just penetrates, and it's easier for people to receive it, and it helps them, because, like, I always say, there's a very, very, very thin line between corny and dope when it comes to conscious music, right? And I just feel like the way that like you said, Spiritual Tony, Free Soul, the way that we communicate it and go about it, that should just fly.
It's real.
It's fly. And so it's like, hey, this shit hard. Like, you feel me? Listen to, and because of that, the subliminals or the direct messages is real easy to digest. Like, yeah, give me more.
I think that's the biggest part about it that we really love, is y'all's ability to be very raw and authentic and realistic at the same time. It's not like you're saying anything that's crazy. Like it's not like y'all are flexing, saying like, I got a Rolex watch, I got a Rollie, and You really don't gotta roll it to Walmart. You know, like y'all aren't flexing, y'all aren't lying, y'all are being honest and truthful and just putting people on game to stuff that they really need to know. Like tap into your greatness.
Yeah.
What you so scared of?
Yeah.
You know, people
Yeah.
are afraid of success. They are afraid to be great. They are afraid. And y'all push for greatness and y'all tell people that in y'all's music, and I just can't even get over it.
Yeah, after we listen to your music, and you know, we've been on the conscious tip for a minute, but you can't go back after that.
No.
It's hard to go back and listen to anything.
Yeah.
Because it all sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah, you need that substance. That's funny. I actually got a line in a song that's not out yet. It'll be coming out with the Hood Bruja. And I say, I got perfect timing. Ain't no rollie on my wrist. So,
that is perfect. Yeah.
See? That works.
Yep. So all right, well, can you tell us more about your nonprofit organization?
yeah. I was felt like I was rambling, but I was gonna say that's
you're
another
good.
way.
No,
That's another way that I be helping folks out here is the nonprofit. So nonprofit Black People Need Psychedelics is it's a vision that I had since I started engaging with psychedelics on my own. So I said I was doing mushroom and shit by myself for a while, right? And when I was just doing mushrooms, the first thing that got me, that really like got me, was the fact that you can see things breathing, or you can see things moving that are supposed to not move. They're like inanimate objects. What I used to trip on all the time was a water bottle, plastic water bottle, just staring at it like that motherfucker start morphing. I'm like, yo. And it was so dope because of the concept that everything is always in motion, right? Everything's always moving. It's harmonically resonating. It's moving so fast. The atoms are moving so fast that it appears to be still. But if you can attune yourself to whatever vibration, like if you could make your vibration the same vibration as the wall or this door, I could pass right through it. You feel me? Just that concept. And so me being able to see the bottle morph and move, I'm like, yo, I'm seeing the atoms slow down. Like I'm at the same vibration that they're at, just as fast, so I can see this shit moving. That was wild to me. That was a wild concept. And that initially just helped me just to be a better me, you feel me, in transition. So I'm like, yo, and just the joy, initially, the joy that it would bring to me. And later on down the line, the work that it started putting me through so that I can like grow and become a better version. I would always say to my partner or the other people on the trip, I'm like, yo, like in the middle of the trip, like, yo, Black people need psychedelics. Because it would bring up just like a lot of traumatic experiences that we deal with as a people. And like, I would be able to like see ways through it, or just like think about different things. I'm like, yo, if every nigga was thinking like this, or if every Black person was thinking like this, like, yo, we could be on some different shit, like fast. You feel me?
Okay.
And I was like, yo, Black people need psychedelics. Like, it's like I said, that barrier that a lot of us have in our mind, that I can't even say a lot of these things to people because they wouldn't even understand. Their mind isn't even at the point where they could perceive it, or they just got a block. I'm like, yo, if I gave a homie some mushroom, gave him an A for whatever, maybe I could start talking to him about some shit and he would actually give a fuck. Past just like, oh yeah, whatever, nigga. I'm about to hit this weed, or I'm about to do whatever. Like, it could get through to him. So it took years for it to really like develop into the concept that I wanted it to. But ultimately it led us to forming the nonprofit Black People Need Psychedelics, which is all about, first and foremost, education, because a lot of people either don't know about them, or they just have a lot of bad information or just assumptions. So we're here to first and foremost educate. Then we're here to facilitate. We do microdose and meditate. We got a microdose hike coming up on the 18th here in LA. We do microdose and yoga, hit the beach. We're a resource center, so we got resources. If it's something that you want to do that we may not facilitate, you want to experience ayahuasca or bufo or a mescaline or a EP ceremony, whatever, like we can direct you and guide you to those sources. We got therapists that work with psychedelics, psychotherapists, right? That we can source you to. And then another big thing that we're big on is harm reduction and integration. I really feel that one of the most if not the most important part about psychedelics or experiencing them, is integration. It's the after process. So a lot comes up during and while you're sitting with, I don't like to say under the influence, but while you're sitting with these teachers, while you're sitting with these tools, a lot can come up, right? But it can also be a lot for you to process. It's the after you've come down or after you're not sitting with anymore, that you can really integrate what's come up for you, that you can apply it to your life, your everyday life. Like, all right, mushrooms told me this, told me that, but now what you gonna do? Are you just gonna continue proceeding about life how you were already, or are you gonna listen to that and really work it or integrate it into your life, integrate it into yourself? So integration is huge. It's something I have to learn because, you know, your boy was out here munching on mushrooms, dropping acid, doing all this. And for a long time, I wasn't integrating properly, just continuously. It's like when if you work out, you go to the gym, you constantly hitting weights, nigga, every day, and you don't give yourself a time to rest, your muscles ain't gonna grow. You feel me? It's that rest period, that recovery that allows the growth and the strength to really be applied to whatever you were doing during the training session. So yeah, integration is a huge part of what we do. We have integration circles. You can talk to me or talk to the Hood Bruja. Yeah, you can talk to us one-on-one. Or if it's not us, like I said, we're a resource center, so we can have other people to access. We bring community together so we can have people can talk to each other, different insights that you might not come up with on your own. You know what I'm saying? You can share your experiences, share your stories. Or amount of time, you might not even need somebody to talk to. You might not need somebody to talk at you. You just need somebody to be around. You feel me? Just a different community just to vibe with. So yeah, that's the gist of Black people need psychedelics. And
Love it.
you know what I'm saying, what we're really out here to do is to bring, we're dedicated and geared towards the BIPOC community. But at the end of the day, if you want to stand in solidarity with us, come on through, man.
Yes, that's
what we're talking
big. That's
about.
huge. I mean, the you're in California, right? So the psilocybin would be the right term, right? Is it decriminalized?
Not everywhere, only up north in like Sacramento, Oakland, San Francisco, only up north right now. We're working on it. We'll be decriminalized in LA very soon. But even still with that, we need a lot of people to get on board and really be active in community, because they trying to take over it just like they did the cannabis industry and make it corporate. And you know, once it gets decriminalized or quote unquote legalized, then that's when a lot of deception can come into play, because a lot of corporations and big money is trying to get a hold of things, and it's getting real popularized. Like you can go to the weed shop right now and they got mushroom bars. You feel me? But there's no education on it. There's nobody there to tell you how to go about it. And a lot of the chocolate bars, niggas aren't making them shits right. It's like, yeah, it's a gram per each square, but really they just dumping a whole eighth into the chocolate and mixing it around. So you can bite a piece and not get nothing, or you can bite a little piece, nigga, and you got fucking 2 grams sitting in that little piece, and you have a really wild experience. So it's just a matter of really being able to educate, getting the education out to people. And like I said, resources, letting people know that there's resources and people you can go to really help guide you and just really understand these things.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's crazy how the same people or the same system that's, you know, locking people up and making it illegal in the first place is now the corporate people that are capitalizing off of it.
Yep. And, you know, just like cannabis, it's a lot of trash weed out there, like a lot filled with all types of chemicals. Genetically modified. They're gonna be doing the same thing with mushrooms. They're gonna be doing the same thing with the cappy vine or with the acacia tree that you use to extract DMT from or to make ayahuasca. They're gonna be doing the same thing. So it's really important that people get educated, and really, it's all about intention. If your intentions are right and they're pure for what you're trying to go into it for, and you're not just trying to get high and trip out, then I really feel like you'll be led in the right direction. You know? Even if you encounter some hiccups or some bumps along the way, if your intentions are pure, intentions are right, you got them ancestors, you got them spirit guides that's going to protect you. And they're going to make sure you get to the right place that you're supposed to be at.
Right. And I know there's probably some people listening that are like, wow, this is kind of far out, right? But I just want people to stop and think about the things that you put in your body on a daily basis, not just the foods that you consume that are saturated in grease and sugar and processed stuff, but also the things that you consume, like television,
What's in the media,
what's in your music. Think about all that stuff, and just think about trying something different. Maybe it might not be today, but just keep your mind open to it, and let yourself, have a chance to try something different, right? Yeah.
I think something that I've noticed about specifically our community is that a lot of us are not open to even doing any type of breathing exercises, no yoga, no.
Niggas don't even want to stand on the grass with their bare feet.
It's like a phobia or something. And it just trips me out because we are earth people. What are y'all doing? We're supposed to be touching the grass. This is what we're meant to do. Everybody on this planet is meant to put their feet in the grass. I don't know what's wrong with everybody. They don't even like even the water that we drink can be better if we just do it. Like if you don't have, all the fancy stuff, that's cool. You can still go to a store, get some kiwis, cut them up and put them in your water.
Yep.
And alkaline that water. Get you some real healthy water. Turn it back to its natural state and drink that instead of drinking all this processed water that's in these bottles and stays in these bottles all day, getting all these chemicals mixed in, and then, wondering why your body is doing what it's doing when you could change that.
It's programming, man. Where everybody's programmed. We programmed since birth. We programmed by the media. We programmed mostly by our parents, who was already programmed and influenced by for a lifetime of whatever, right? And it's all about reprogramming. It's a subconscious and a conscious reprogramming that we gotta constantly engage ourselves in, man. Like I was saying, it's that barrier that we have that be broken down. It's the reason why I got family members that look at me crazy when we go to the park and take our shoes off. Like, you take your shoes off? I'm like, what you mean? I try to explain to them the science behind it, like it's real shit, and they're just like, nah, you tripping. Like,
yeah, the electromagnetic field. They're like, forget it, right? But yeah, I think it's something powerful that we're onto, and so I'm very excited to be a part of whatever you're doing and see how we can put our heads together to continue to shine some light on these problems that we might have found a solution that might work for some people, whether it be breathing, whether it be diet and exercise, or just changing your thought pattern a little bit, reprogramming those self-limiting belief systems that we've had, and keep pushing, because we're out here doing God's work in some form of fashion, whether people want to see it that way or not. That's how I see it. And I think that's kind of the mission for all of us. And
I think it's one of our greatest gifts on this planet, in this realm, in this dimension, period, is our voices. And if we don't learn how to use our voices, we will never be able to make this life the way that we want it to be.
Definitely.
The way that we see it, the way that we feel it's supposed to be. Like if you feel like you suffering and you are somebody that's really not supposed to be suffering, you're probably not supposed to be suffering. You're supposed to be sitting with yourself so you can figure out, how can I make a way out of this? Because this is not for me. And that comes from being like really raw and authentic with yourself and figuring out, who am I and who do I want to be in this world? So
really raw, authentic, just vulnerable, and hit the charger. And like I say, a lot of our experiences that we have in life, period, are dictated by what we consume. So I feel like everything that we consume has an agenda, even psychedelics.
Mhm.
Everything outside of you has an agenda for what it wants. The food you eat, like, it's gonna come with some parasites. Like, yeah, we need more of that. We need more of that salt. We need more of that sugar. We need more anger. Like, I like when we get angry, it's influencing you to do something, have its own agenda. So when you really sit with yourself, and like I said, even mushrooms have an agenda of something they want you to do. You feel me? So it's really important that we tap in and sit with ourselves so we can really learn and understand ourselves to the best and fullest extent. So when there are those outside voices or something coming in with an agenda, that we can have the best discernment possible to really pull from and take what we need to from those voices. Because everything's a tool. We got a bunch of teachers, things here to help. We just don't need to fully become whatever it is that's trying to influence. Just take what you need from it and go on about your life, you know?
Correct.
And like I said, reprogram yourself to be the best you.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is going to reach a lot of people. So if you're out there and you're feeling like you're stuck in a prison, go put on some D'rok and the hood bruja
and tap into that frequency.
Yes.
And
yes.
open your mind and your heart up to something great inside yourself and believe in that, because we all have a purpose.
Yes, for sure.
Everybody's destined for greatness in their own lane. Nobody's looks the same.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, King, for joining us today. It's really something special for us, and please give your love to our love to your queen. Tell her that we look forward to seeing her as well.
Yes.
I will.
And we're sending lots of love to you out there, and we're here anytime you need us.
Yep.
Yo, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Appreciate this talk, this insight, the opportunity to, spiel my spiel.
You already know.
Yeah, let freedom ring.
Okay. That's how you do it.
Yes.
That's how you do it. But thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you, and we'll be tapping back in with
And
you.
y'all be safe out there and stay blessed.
Indeed, likewise.
All right.
Much
Talk to you
love,
soon.
All right, big love.
Bye.